Um, so, um, for example, she was vehement about having certain things cooked with a certain motion. My right hand is really arthritic, and I injured my elbow about 6 years ago now, and it never healed right. There's not much cartilage in it. So certain motions will literally make like my entire arm and hand cramp up. Now, I didn't tell her about that right off because, one, I needed the job, and two, I didn't think I was really going to have a problem with it. But I did develop a way that worked better for me. And the food quality was the same once it was all said and done. She was just really, really pissed off that I was doing it differently. It was a little bit more noisy, but it's noisy back there anyway. I failed to see how it mattered. So, from my point of view, she cared. She didn't really feel like she could accommodate me in that way, and I was just getting really worn out. By the end of the night, my arm was pretty useless. Even now, being away from the job for a couple of days, I have some pretty severe pain in my right hand, and I've taken 600 milligrams of ibuprofen just a couple hours ago. So, I don't know. But again, I'm not going. I'm not walking to work. I'm not doing things the way she wants to be berated or yelled at, or in a working environment where things are really hostile. I think that businesses need to realize that there are those two types of workers. There's the I'm all for the company worker, and then there's the I need this job and I will give every bit of effort that I can while I'm here, but I'm probably not going to be here forever worker. Both are almost equally useful while they're at work. Now, the I'm all for the company worker, they tend to go on to become managers and such. But I think that I have a feeling that businesses in general have sort of gotten to the point where they really only want to accommodate the all for the company worker, and not really do anything for the I'm here to work worker, right? Because you do have to kind of accommodate those people in different ways. The I'm all for the company worker might be slightly easier to accommodate in some ways. They would probably be more likely and willing to come in, say, and do overtime or whatever if somebody didn't show up. And they should probably be the person you'd call first. Because, honestly, I leave town on my days off anyway. I have family that's, like an hour each way from here. And I go and visit them. So, and that's my time off. I'm perfectly allowed and willing to do that. But I'm not going to drive all the way back home, after making plans for a week to go out and see them, to go back to work. But that's just not me. And I'm honest about that if that ever happens. Like, hey, I am completely, totally out of town. It's going to take me like hours to get home. I'm not I'll be there Monday or whatever. But until then, I'm out of town. I can't really, uh, I can't really be there right now. But the all for the company worker, they'd probably be like, yeah, I can come in, no problem, and that's going to get them ahead where they want to be, right? So it's a win-win. They're going in. That keeps me that keeps me on the free time that I find important, and it gets them ahead. But again, I think the companies are only willing to support one type of worker now, which is making the honest day's work for an honest day's pay workers' lives a little bit harder. And again, these are all very common complaints all these people were making about this particular company. Long hours, schedules that weren't good for having any life outside of the company, business practices at work that weren't being followed properly for the sake of getting it done faster. The dishes at this place are disgusting. They don't actually get clean. I would get them clean, but the way that they seem to be satisfied with having them done is just gross. I don't even eat there now. Honestly, I'm not really the type of person who's ever, and I know there are other people like me, who's just ever going to be all about work. And probably there are a lot of you people like out there right now going, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying that. How's he ever going to get anywhere? Well, there used to be a time in this country, and I don't know, maybe some of you aren't old enough to remember it, but, there was this thing called the weekend, and most people got it off, and now Saturday and Sunday are just other days of the week, in fact, people that still get Saturday and Sunday off, I think they're living in some kind of fantasy world, man. I mean, ever since I really started working a lot, I think I've had Saturday and Sunday off once for like 9 months during the entire time I've been working since I was like 20 or whatever. So, I mean, maybe if you work for the city or whatever, yeah, all right. But otherwise, you're probably going to have some weekdays off, and you're going to be really lucky if they're together, which means you're not going to have any time to do anything with anybody or anyone that you want to do it with. And you're probably not going to have enough separation from work. So you're going to be just really kind of not in the best mood at work all the time, and probably not smiling a lot like a lot of companies want you to be these days, and it's just all gotten really messed up. And there used to be these other things called holidays. I don't know if you've heard of any of these: Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, Labor Day. People used to get these days off too, but I've worked pretty much every holiday, and you know what? You can say, oh, but they pay you extra. Well, they can keep their money. I want the day off. I want to. I'm tired of my family going. Why can't you ever be here on Thanksgiving or Christmas or da 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 da? Well, talk to my company. They because people seem to feel that they need their dish network to work, or on Christmas Day, or whatever. or they got to go out and have fast food instead of making a nice home cooked meal and having it as a family and celebrating the day, because there's no time for it. We've lost, I think, a lot of the values that made Americans, at least, the culture that we were for a while. That culture is kind of disappearing. Like I said, if you're the type of person who's still getting weekends and holidays off, you've got a stellar job, or you're not living in this planet, on this planet, as far as I'm concerned. Things have really gone downhill there as far as the way that we have to work in this country. Just has just degraded really bad. Now, I've owned my own business a time or two, and I'm looking at maybe doing that again for a couple of things. And there you can have a lot of freedom. And I'd probably be the type of dude who'd give my employees Halloween off. I don't need to pay them for that day either, if you want to look at it from a business standpoint. I just don't think people should be all about their jobs. I feel like people should be about making themselves happy. Now, working makes you happy, okay. But I think you ought to do what you need to do to make yourself happy. I think you ought to have time during the week to be able to do that, sufficient time. I think you ought to have time to spend with your family. That includes holidays. I don't think that you should be going to work to be abused and berated and, worked into the ground. I just think that things have changed in a bad way, and they need to change again. I also think people's attitude, like, oh, well, what are we going to do? I think these attitudes, it's kind of just BS to accept all of this. I think that the people who have tended to enact change in the world have been the type of people who don't accept these type of things going down. And, I'm not exactly sure what to say about it other than that. But again, all the northern reviews of this company were pretty good, 5-star reviews and such. So maybe in the comments, what do you guys think about that? Do you think the South has a different ideal about working and family and time off and what's expected of you than the North? What are you guys' opinions on working and giving of yourself to the company and stuff like that? I'm really curious how the people out there feel about it. Anyway, these videos are long enough. Goemonronin signing off.